Welcome to Creating the Muse podcast, brought to you by Into Pages. This is a space where creativity takes center stage and entrepreneurship becomes an art form. Join us as we dive into the stories of visionary individuals who have harnessed their inner muse to build thriving businesses and craft lives of passion and purpose. Welcome to another episode of Creating the Muse, the podcast where we venture into the world of artistry, creativity, and self-expression. I'm your host, Indiana Holly, and today we have the pleasure of interviewing an incredible guest, Amy Doomadgee. Amy is the founder of Amy Unbridled, where she creates a powerful environment for healing through kinesiology, somatic, and equine therapy. With a background deeply rooted in lifelong connection with horses, Amy combines nature's wisdom with modern practices to guide individuals through emotional and physical healing. She's also a devoted mother of two, which adds another layer of depth in her work. In this episode, we will dive deep into Amy's unique approach to healing, the role horses play in her practice, and the healing properties of somatic awareness. Without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Amy. Yay!
Thank you.
I just wanted to let people know that for those that are listening, we were having a conversation about how we found each other and how we met. So, and it was definitely through Maya, or was it through Louise Seaton? I think
it was through Maya. Yes.
Oh, I love that so much. She's I've known her for years, such an incredible woman. So I'm not surprised that we connected through her because she just who she is, clearly who she attracts are extraordinary women. So such an honor to have you here today.
It's an honor to be here. I can't wait to dive in. But I have to say, I do need to remember later to share a story about Maya's husband and his hat, and a hat that I bought and where it ended up. So
We can touch on that now. Please tell
we'll
me, 'cause
talk
those,
about that.
those hats are incredible. The
Oh,
amount
they
of
are.
love that goes into that, they're such a creative family. Like, how is that possible?
I kind of remember how I came across both of their work. It might have been when I was living in the Byron area, and I think they weren't too far from there at one stage. I don't really remember, but many years ago, I bought a couple of hats for my husband because he's into amazing hats. And I bought one and he loved it. And then I bought another one. We ran a festival up north in the Gulf country where we brought Indigenous tribes from around the world or danced with people together
Oh
out on the
wow.
flat. Yeah, incredible festival. We did it for a couple of years. But one of our dear guests, Jean Braverock, who is a man from the Blackfoot tribe in Canada, tall, a handsome, incredible, dancer and actor. Anyway, I gifted my husband this hat, and he liked it, but just wasn't hitting it. Like, yeah, that's amazing. Anyway, we took it up, and he ended up chucking it on Jean before he went on to dance at one stage, and it was Jean's hat straight away, and it now has traveled the world. And
Oh my God.
he's an actor and he does all sorts of incredible things, and he always has it on. And like, it's just amazing to see that story kind of, weave into his life and beyond.
Yeah, definitely. And the journey that hat has gone on in itself to find, it's like the hat picked him, not the other way around.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. Oh my God. I just have to say, I moved to Byron and it feels like everybody that I was really inspired by disappeared. I was like, well, this ain't fun. When were you in Byron?
We moved away from there when I was pregnant with my second child. That would have been about 6 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
we were there for we lived in Byron and Mullumbimby. Yeah, I would say we were there for maybe 5, 6 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I got there,
beautiful.
and Maya's like, "Oh no, we're now uh, south. What's it called? The Narrabri, like out that way, like near Seal Rocks. I think out that way now." So I was like, "Where did all the like the people that aligned with me? These people aren't my people."
Now your time to shine in the area.
Yeah. No, I'm actually in Canberra at the moment, and then I'm going to disappear to Braidford for a bit. So city living's not for me. I need cows and kookaburras. So yeah,
100%.
that's definitely good for my soul. So enough about that. Let's get into your beautiful journey and your gorgeous offering. So am I correct in saying that you started your career out in the music industry? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
that started when I was about 16 years old. I went to the Gympie muster with my mum. I was born in Gympie, and we lived there till I was about 10, and then moved to Toowoomba. But we went back there quite often for the muster. And I just remember dancing at maybe, I don't know, 2 a.m. with my mum when I was 16. It was probably not meant to be in that bar, but we were dancing and just singing along, having the best time. And I remember looking around the crowd and just thinking, I want to do that. Like, I want to bring this joy, this experience to people.
That
And that's
felt
all I remember.
feeling. Yeah, yeah.
I just remember connecting to this experience, or being able to create an experience for people to feel.
Mhm.
And that was that. And my mum worked for Channel 7, and, I was always in the music scene, kind of in terms of if we had an event on up in Toowoomba or whatever, which was around the artists and this and that. And I never was the one that was, I guess, really was dying to meet artists. I just really admired them from afar and loved to bring the show together behind the scenes. But I ended up studying music business, and then started to manage an artist. And long story short, moved to Sydney and
Oh,
got my job.
a
Yeah,
serious, serious career by the sounds of it. Yeah.
it was for a good 10 years. Um, Actually, just before I moved to Sydney, I went to Tamworth Country Music Festival with the artist I was managing at the time, and I met an incredible man by the name of Stan Morez, who's no longer with us. But I went to one of his seminars, and he was from Nashville, and he would come over quite often and work for Rob Potts, who was the promoter in Sydney I ended up working for. And we just connected, and he just became like a father figure to me and took me under his wing. And
Oh, love that.
yeah, beautiful man. But him and both Rob then gave me a job working for, and he created CMC Rocks Festival. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Started out in Snowy Mountains, then went to the Hunter Valley, and is now in Ipswich. It's a huge country music festival that, showcases the US country artists mainly, and
Yeah, yeah.
Australia. Sold out within minutes, when it goes online. But anyway,
What?
I first 7 years of that, and toured international artists, and I just loved it. Like, I loved bringing that show together. Like I was saying, I became
Oh,
that tour manager and festival manager, or worked in the management team. So yeah, it was an incredible time in my life, but I hated being in the city, and I just constantly yearned to be in the country and
yeah,
with my.
yeah. Because you are a country girl, right? Because Gympie is definitely country, isn't it? Yeah. And you said Toowoomba. That's such a beautiful little It's like in the middle of nowhere. You're driving for ages, and then all of a sudden there's this oasis, and you're like, where the hell did that come from?
It is pretty magical up on the mountains, so it's just,
Oh, yeah, I didn't
really
think my
beautiful.
car can do that, drive up there all the time. I'm like, well, my engine doesn't sound too good over here, but
Yeah, let's push it up there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Wow. And I love how you said the core reason why you did it was because you loved making people feel amazing. And that was kind of like the vessel, the container that gave that to people. Like that clearly was your number one priority for why you did that, your passion in making people feel amazing. So I guess, yeah, how did you lead from the music industry? What drew you to lead to transition from music into healing arts?
well, I ended up, so when I was around 22, I think I was, just before I moved to Sydney, I met my husband, who was raising his 5 kids on his own, and I became kind of a
Five kids
instant.
on his own. Jesus.
Yeah,
It's a brave man. Wow.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I met him, and it's so interesting reflection looking back on those years. I don't know how at the age of 22 I decided it was completely okay and normal to take on, I guess, the role or mother figure when I was still so young myself.
Yeah.
And has Indigenous, and he started quite young and grew up, remotely and lived quite the traditional life. But I really spent those years, I guess, going back and forward. Well, those first couple of years I was in Sydney and he was still in Brisbane, but coming into trying to find my space in this new way of living in relationship and being like the mother figure in a sense, and also trying to follow my career. He and some of the kids moved to Sydney and we lived there for quite a few years, and I found it quite difficult to do both and also be continually, I'm going to say, confronted with cultural differences. To the littlest things like, in blackfella time, you kind of just really are in the moment and in the day, and there's not like these, it's not normal to have the deadlines and the push for life and I've got to
And
get
the
here and I've got to
anxiety of it all. Yeah. Yeah.
quite a gentle sense I'm speaking to here. But I remember this one time I was driving up our main street and I was about to drop my husband to the bus stop and drop the kids off to school and go and get to my work, and he's like, let's stop and get a coffee. And I'm like, I can't get fucking coffee. It's like, we've got to get to school. Like, I've got to drop the kids off and I've got to get to work. And he looked at me and he said, if we can't get a coffee, like, what's the point?
Yes. If you can't make 5 minutes out of your life, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Did I lose you? I've
You
still
show
got
up at work on time and all those things. Then when we went out bush for the first time, really challenged my, is it coming out a little bit?
Yeah, cutting out a little bit, but I think I've still got you. So I'll let you know if it gets to you.
Can you hear me okay? Is it
Yeah,
out?
yeah, I'm all good. We got to the awareness of what happened after that moment in life. Yeah, I got you. It's good.
Oh, hang on, now we're back. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
It keeps cutting. Okay, great. Yeah, so, the challenges from when I went out bush the first time, and I'm like, when are we going out to his remote station, blah, blah, blah. Just a real confronting of, a time and schedule and living that kind of life opposed to living in nature with a bit more flow. And I found it was super confronting, but some of the most incredible lessons in my life, I think. But towards the end of my music career, I just really yearned to be, like I said, in the country, and I absolutely loved my job, but I could just always feel this little piece missing. So I'm going to kind of cut it short in terms of between then and starting my career in kinesiology, we did a bit of travel and, worked in different various jobs, just traveling throughout the country and doing different things. And I was just trying to find myself, I guess, in those years. But we went through some significant personal struggles when we moved to Byron. Gosh, it must have been about 2015, I think, around the Byron Shire, and the work my husband was involved in with his tribe really unsettled him and us, and we went through some really difficult times that shook me to my core, as I then had my first child in 2016, Dixie, and then I was pregnant with Isabella. And
I love their names. Sorry, Dixie and Isabella. That's beautiful. Keep going.
Yeah, beautiful girls. But just having my little one, being pregnant, and in this insanely difficult time, I'd have to say what I really lent on in those times was kinesiology. Like, I started to see a kinesiologist in, I think, 2019 it was. Oh, sorry, not 2019. When I was 19, someone introduced me to kinesiology, and he was based in Toowoomba, and anytime I would come home, I'd go and see him and get a rebalance. And then I found an incredible one in Sydney for a while. But I just found I would always gravitate towards them if I was going through some stresses. And it was through those sessions that I learned to start to tap into my body and understand that whatever emotional stresses or mental stresses I was going through, that they were felt in the body and experienced and held. it wasn't until this time, like this pretty dark period, that we then moved up to Toowoomba to be closer to my family. My mum
So
found a house
support.
for us.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you,
found
Mum.
a house 5 minutes down the road, and we bought it before even, without even looking at it. Just went, yeah, it's amazing. It's on some land and has this beautiful old cheese factory barn on it that I'd love to renovate one
Oh,
day. But yeah, so we were here in Toowoomba, and I remember then going through this cycle that was happening within our relationship and within our life. And I remember looking out the window thinking, something really needs to change, and I can't expect someone else to change. I can't expect the external to make me happy. And I had Isabella was probably maybe 6 months old, and I just thought, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do with my life, and how am I going to model to my girls what it means to be, an empowered woman, and to stand up for what you believe in, and fight for what's right for you, regardless of anything, regardless of other people and other people's needs. And it really hit me. It was in a November. I just remember the hot weather and looking out the window. And I just started to dabble into looking around to study kinesiology, and that's when I really then just started to dive into it and do it with little kids and running a festival. And it was a completely ridiculous time in my life, I have to say, but I'm thankful for the
to
lessons.
have so much growth at such a young age too. Like and it's like that whole concept of, the pressure, how do you make a diamond? It's the actual pressure. So to come to that conclusion at such a young age, is incredible because like I can tell you it didn't take me that long, but like I think being a mum changes it to a whole perspective, and having the awareness that you need to go first for the whole world around you to change sort of thing. So especially when you're modeling to little ones with your babies, like what patterns do you want to have them witness you in, and
Mm-hmm.
and if you need to break any of those patterns so that it doesn't repeat, like the generational stuff as well, like yeah, it just everything gets handed down. You can choose whether or not you want that same behavior to be handed down to them or something new for them to, and for you to be the vessel for that. So it's so young to
Absolutely.
go through that.
I really am thankful for those hardships, even though I can still feel my body contract
Oof.
around. I think about them, and I've
Must have
done
been
so much to my
serious.
body.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really was. But I just, like, breaking patterns. I think this is one of the trickiest things, because we are so much more aware these days, and we have access to the tools and an
Yes.
overload of information.
Yeah.
We have access to information to understand that, yes, we do have choice. It's not easy,
No.
but you
No.
choose your hard, right? And I just think one of the most difficult pieces of that journey of being aware is that then you become so much more aware of the choices you're making, the choices people around you are making, how society has influenced that, how your upbringing has influenced that, your choices and your beliefs. But doing the dismantling of that work and
Good word. Oh,
work
yeah.
while trying to raise children
Oh,
and, you know, make those positive choices, like, I call it a head fuck, and it's not a technical term. It is.
it's a lot.
Um,
It's yeah. That's
it
why
is.
you're saying you can still feel it in your body, because that in itself sounds quite traumatic, and the stress to go through. So yeah.
It's going to be difficult if you don't have the right tools, but having kinesiology was the piece, and this is what I absolutely love about
Your
kinesiology.
lifeline.
It's able to very clearly identify what you need to work on right now. What's the
Mm,
first layer, I guess, to focus on? What do
mm.
we need to cancel, and what do we need to focus on to move forward? Rather than all these different things that you want to change in your life, it can be so overwhelming. It just gives you that one thing. And then often with that one thing, there's a ripple effect of so many other pieces to it. So I'm just so thankful for kinesiology, because I think I'm not going to say it's been a shortcut, but it has been able to very much give me clearly what can I work on today or this week, or if I'm feeling this overwhelm or contractions or whatever it is, what is it I need to focus on? And it's given me direction.
Like you said, to cut out all the outside noise and just. So I've tried kinesiology. After I left my husband, I wanted to find a holistic healer, like because GPs just, they have a place. Like I'm not bashing them anyway, but when it comes to that kind of stuff, I needed something deeper understanding. So I think for me, what I understood it to be was muscle testing. But what I loved about it was it felt like, and sorry if this sounds woo in any way, but it felt like the inner knowing that I already had. And that was my inner knowing because I feel like your body's far more intelligent than what your noggin is. And I felt like it was your inner knowing or your higher self or whatever it is coming out in a communication. Am I
Mm-hmm.
getting that right? That's my perspective of what kinesiology was. Yeah, yeah.
Believe so. And every kinesiology is different, but I believe that's the essence of the work that we do. My work is very much around emotional. Some kinesiologists, yes, work with the emotional side of things, but very much work on like muscle correction.
Mm.
Whereas with what I do, quite a holistic approach. It creates a change internally. But I'll go into that another point. But yes, to me, it's like the kinesiologist is the facilitator between you and your higher self,
Mm.
and able
Mm.
to then articulate into a language that you can, oh yeah, that makes sense, or yeah, that's where we need to go. Absolutely.
And cut through the noise and get the answer because that's what your inner knowing knows. It knows how to heal itself. It knows what it wants. There's no muss, no fuss, just get to the core of it sort of thing. So you touched on, I think some of your work you touched on remote aspects like remote healing using kinesiology. Oh, because I think when I was first got sick and you were like, oh, let's do a session and I can help you with you. And I was like really curious. So can you explain how that process works because as me being completely ignorant to it, so I'd love to
Absolutely.
unpack that.
When I first learnt kinesiology, we learnt to do the muscle testing on our clients, and I learnt how to muscle test on myself. And I mean, lots of people can do it, but I then honed that as my main skill. So even when I do sessions with clients, I actually muscle test on myself because I also tend to feel people's stuff in my body. So that then enables me to be able to do it remotely. And it does sound woo-woo and it's incredibly crazy how it works, but
Energy science, baby. It's not woo.
yeah, exactly. I can be going throughout my day and I'll get a feeling in my body. It might be a pain or it might be a sensation of other thoughts. I know now because I've trained my body so intricately to know whether it's mine or someone else's, but I can always test that. Is that mine? Is that someone else's? Is it a client? Who is it? Family, blah, blah, blah. And I can kind of go down that rabbit hole if I choose to. But I used to straight away, as soon as I felt it, I'd contact that person. But I've since learned that not everyone is ready for certain things and, ready to face what they need to face, and I just now, if I feel it really strongly, if it keeps coming back, I'll know it's time to reach out to someone. But yes, so what it means is I can work with anyone remotely, even if it's a text or a phone call or we do a Zoom. I generally do a lot of Zoom sessions. Online is probably 80% of my work, I would say, 80-90%.
Yeah.
But it means also too, I've taken that into the equine world as well, and on any animals as well, but I've really honed my work in the equine space as well. So yeah, it's so incredible to be able to support people no matter where they are. But it can be, there's so many different ways that we can support, or that I can support someone. But it's like when you said you were sick, even often it can be, okay, is there an emotional stress held in your body that's preventing you from getting better right now? Is there something that you need to be working on physically or nutritionally or vitamins, etc., that's going to support you in getting better? And that kind of stuff as well we can look at.
I think that sounds amazing because before I hit record I was saying to you I feel like I got for COVID because because I was living in quite isolated areas for the past 4 years. So, and then I came to Canberra. I was like, fucking, you shouldn't have come here. Got bloody COVID. I could blame Canberra, but I, I feel like it had to happen. Like it was kind of like, the universe taking a baseball bat to my face saying, hey, if you're not going to listen, here you go. This will make you bloody listen. So
Yeah,
you have to
absolutely.
change direction. And I love that you can help is it the word to tune into that sort of thing, like to help unpack exactly what's happening there, like why. Like I can probably figure out why, like from the way my body was feeling and my anxiety was playing up, but you would be able to help unpack that from a nutritional, like what's happening with my gut health and what my lifestyle choices are, and that I drink too much coffee. So you'd be
Can,
help
yeah.
unpack all of that. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't tend to dive right into that, but I do if it comes up to at the end
Oh,
of, so
what
like
needs to
the
know?
foundational work, I'd be okay with you getting COVID. Obviously, you can't always help getting viruses, but
Yeah,
my belief is that when you're under deep emotional stress, you're
you're
more susceptible to
susceptible.
illness.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
so you can hold stress in so many different areas of your body. So you can hold stress in your organs, you can hold it in your meridians, or in muscle of, say, for example, say you had to slam the brakes on, you nearly hit in a car, you slam the brakes on and your ankle, that whole area was under stress. You can hold the emotional stress, in the muscles in your
Mm.
ankle, for example. So yeah, I would look at first the emotional stress and then the physical health, and then what can be supported to improve your health. Absolutely.
That's
And
incredible.
your body tells me through testing up what's the priority to work on, and I then have other resources I tap into to guide me where to go with it.
Mm.
It's like I said before, it just cuts out so much and prevents the overwhelm. It's okay, this is what your body needs right now. Let's start with this. And it might be that we work together every 2 weeks, or it might be a monthly session, or it might be you just come back when you feel, you need to.
Bit out of
And
alignment.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it can just be used in so many different ways. But my biggest belief is we have become, as a society, so disconnected from our bodies, and our body
Guilty.
communicates our
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
So we get in our heads, which is a lot of it's conditioning, because we operate out of our subconscious mind 95% of the time, unless you're consciously making every single choice. It's out of your subconscious, which is your conditioning, your trauma, everything is stored there. And so we've been trained to live out of our heads
Mm.
rather than our body, which is our truth. And my passion is, one, tap into kinesiology to dismantle the conditioning and the stress out of the body and the subconscious mind, and then also asking your body, where do we need to go? And then I use somatic therapy to retrain the body and your mind.
Mm.
So the retraining to actually trust what your body's signaling, and understanding it, for starters. Okay, what's that sensation? Or I've got a contraction, or I'm in a conversation and I'm feeling, a tightness in my stomach. Okay, what is it? So a lot of it, I just, for me, that's the most powerful side of it, is the dismantling and then the retraining, and giving tools to my clients to actually understand their body, to empower them, and then working with horses really fine tunes that as well.
Oh, Amy, that sounds so amazing. I think I feel like I'm in a place now where you know how you've been in fight and flight and you're in survival mode for a very long time, and something could have happened as you're a child, but your body's still trying to protect you, so it's trying to avoid. So you get those triggers and it feels like you're back in that situation again, and you don't have the awareness. You just think it's the normal, the ordinary sort of thing. But it feels like if you know, when you're an adult now, you're in a different situation and you can protect yourself and you have the tools now that you might not have had as a child, but your body, the issues are in the tissues, right? So what I'm hearing is you could support somebody to kind of help the nervous system to get to a point where it does feel safe. Does that sound correct in my
Yeah,
understanding? Oh God, That's incredible. Like seriously, such a fascinating modality. Oh, wow.
It's and I've woven kinesiology, somatic therapy, and equine therapy or horse wisdom together to really create, I guess, something of my own. But so many people are tapping into different areas of that. But with what I work with, yes, nervous system regulation is paramount, and a lot of us aren't actually taught how to regulate our nervous
Oh,
system.
God,
I mean,
no.
because our parents, guardians, whoever, they might not have
They
had that
didn't have the
knowledge.
tools. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Um, and regulation doesn't mean to be calm. It means to be able to experience emotions, which can be anger, which can be sadness, whatever it is, and then to come back down to homeostasis and
Mm,
balance our body rather than staying in fight, flight, or fright mode. So it's not always about being calm and zen. I mean, that you can be, but
mm,
it's about being able to come back to a state of balance and safety and then make choices, through awareness rather than like reaction. If we're
yeah.
up here still in this state, we often then reacting rather than, coming to a regulated state, having awareness, and then making choices that's in alignment with what our body's communicating to us.
Oh,
So that
I love that. So you said homeostasis because your theme for the magazine is equilibrium. So that's just perfect. That you just and just discuss discussing like the nervous system, like parasympathetic and dorsal. I think is where you sit. I think I'm pretty much I either live in the dorsal or I'm in the heightened state in my anxiety. But what I'm hearing from you is there's in between and it should go up and down, but some people are extremes and they're going high into parasympathetic and then they're going straight into dorsal. So they crash on the couch and then they're in the numbing sort of thing. So that's what I'm hearing that and you try and find them that it's all right to have peaks and troughs. You just got to sit within that juicy middle part where the good stuff is. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and coming back to that state as in a shorter time rather than
Mm.
staying stuck. So every single emotion in my belief is actually healthy. Like anger is healthy,
Such a good
sadness is
question.
healthy,
Yeah.
grief is healthy because it is our body expressing where we're at and what our needs are. When it's unhealthy if we stay stuck in it. We don't have the tools to process that grief or that anger and we stay in that state, then it becomes an energetic, stuck feeling or stagnant feeling in our body. And it
Mm.
becomes a subconscious belief that we tend to take on, depending on what we're dealing with in our life. But so my belief is, yeah, we need to experience those emotions. We actually need to go through the cycle of experience in life,
Hmm.
in micro
All
moments
the
and
polarities. Yeah.
absolutely. But the 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 I guess priority is to be able to understand what regulates your nervous system. How do you understand what your body's communicating with you? What is it you need, and what creates safety to enable you to keep moving forward rather than staying stuck.
Fuck. Yeah.
And most of us, like I said, we learn from a very young age. Like what happens is we learn what keeps us safe. When we're young, whether it's our parents, guardians, whatever our environment is. And that might be people pleasing. It might be not being too loud. It might be not being too quiet. It might
Being
be,
invisible. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like we learn very quickly what is okay, what is safe, and because we rely on those people for survival, to be fed and clothed and loved,
Mm.
we become whatever we need to.
Just safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to stay safe and to survive, and then those patterns become what's called as creative fixed patterns, where our body's so intelligent it says, okay, what do I need to do to be safe here? And then it becomes our norm. And it's not until we get down the track in life, hang on a minute, that doesn't serve me. And
No.
when we have more awareness around that, we can work out, yeah, what does serve us, what doesn't, what is ours, what is someone else's story. And that's where kinesiology can be incredibly powerful.
Wow. I
And
knew this was going to be an incredible conversation, Amy. This is so exciting. You're a world of wisdom.
going to say how long you've got because you're getting me going now.
I love it. I love it. Getting your passion out. So I guess where I want to take the conversation is you have such a special, incredible connection to horses. So can you explain what it is about horses that makes them such a powerful partner in the healing process? Because they're just,
Mm,
oh, what a beast. What a beautiful, wild animal. So highly intelligent and just, yeah. So
they
I,
are.
yeah, how is because I was working at Department of Veteran Affairs for a while because I wanted to be a part of a program where they're using alternative methods, more progressive methods to helping veterans with PTSD, and one of them was equine therapy. So I'd love to talk through that with you. And could you own horses? Like I see your video footage, you're right. Oh my God, this woman has the life. Like, so
Work hard to create that life. That,
I
can I
know.
say,
Yes,
through
fair.
awareness,
Good point.
awareness of, yeah, what wasn't serving me and I had to dismantle so much to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm living my life. I'm on my
Yes,
path. I'm
yes.
choosing me, even, in my relationship, in my, as a mother, in everything in my life, I now do it with so much awareness and so much conviction of, no, this is what I want. This is what serves me. That doesn't. And I don't mean that life's just bliss all the time because it's not. But I just am so now centered in my body would tell me very quickly if I'm out of alignment.
You can
Um,
feel it straight away. Yeah.
and then if I ignore it or if I keep making those choices when I have the awareness, I'll get sick in some way or I'll get inflammation. So yes, but let's go to horses. Horses have been such an incredible, subtle, I guess, metaphor and literal experience in my life without even realizing it for the last couple of years as I started to reflect on it. But horses have the same nervous system as us, and so
I
they
didn't know that. Wow.
can act as a co-regulator, and we can also co-regulate them. But as they are prey animals, they are the epitome of embodied beings to me. So they only tune into mainly what they feel, and what they feel tells them whether they need to move, run away from a threat, or whether they're safe. They constantly tune into their energetic field. That's what they're feeling. They also have like their heart space. I'm going to tickle in my throat. Could be something emotional in my throat. I'm kidding. So their heart space. When we have three brains. We have our heads, we have our heart brain, and our gut brain.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when we walk into a space, or if we walk into to meet someone, we feel it in our heart first, and then that will send a message to our brain and our gut. So our heart space is so important in terms of what we feel, and it is for horses as well. But a horse's energetic heart space is about, I think it's about 9 feet, whereas a human's is
Wow.
about
Wow.
meter. So then if you're in a herd of horses, it's even bigger, and they will respond to what other herd members are feeling to or sensing. So they, like I said, are the epitome of embodied beings. They literally rely on what their body's communicating to them to survive, and they don't sit there. If a tiger's lurking in the bush and they can feel that, they're not going to sit there as a human might do with, another person that could be a threat and think, oh, maybe they mean well, or maybe they don't really want to hurt me,
God,
or
yes.
if they've got trauma,
And
maybe
then
I
it
should just stick
bites you in
around.
the ass because you didn't listen to your initial. Yeah.
Exactly. They
Oh,
are gone. If
yeah,
they sense that
yeah.
there's a threat, they tune in and act accordingly. And so I find them such a beautiful metaphor and beautiful beings to be around, because one, the nervous system regulation, but so many other things with horses. They're incredible agents of change, but they model what I support, particularly women, but I work with men as well, but support people in understanding their bodies, what they're communicating, and how to
Wow.
respond.
So we really learn from them, was what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
The horse wisdom pieces that I weave into my sessions, whether a horse is literally involved, if they're actually present, physically present, or if I weave the wisdom in because, it's things like awareness and boundaries that keep us safe with horses, as it does in life as well.
So
there's just
powerful.
so many pieces. Yeah,
the gift that you're giving to people, and it's such a unique way of bringing kinesiology and somatic and equine therapy together. Like, what a package, especially if you're like, my inner child is just like, I just want to come and hang out with you and be healed with all the modality and then just hug horses. And just like my inner child's like, what better way to heal yourself? Like, that is such a gift to give to people. It's so beautiful. And I just love that you said you've worked hard to get to this place where you can give to others now. So it's just
it's
amazing.
awareness and that's then given me choice. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I wanted to share with horses that I don't want to forget is one of the kinesiology. I can use kinesiology in terms of how best to work with the horse or what the client needs and what kind of session we might do. But one of the most powerful, I guess, interactive experiences with horses is that, for one, humans that have a lot of fear around being other humans or fear in relationships, that don't have or have very rarely experienced safeness in relationships, it can be quite daunting to see a therapist or to even,
Of course.
become vulnerable and all.
To when you don't trust people. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I've lost you, Amy.
To be connected, to receive and engage in, affection. In so many different ways, you can experience a different kind of relationship with horses. Has the internet cut out?
It did for a second, but I've got you back again. Can you hear me? Oh no. Haha, got you back. Sorry, what were you saying? I think where we were saying is kind of like along the lines of if you getting to the point where you want to start trusting in people and but you still are fearful and have anxiety around that this modality using horses is the kind of like the nice little the safe way to feel that in safeness within you. So before you venture out and start letting people in. So is that where you were going? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place to experience relationship or relating in a new
Oh,
way.
love that.
And finding safety in that. And we always include horses in terms, and by that I mean they have choice. Like, I do it at liberty, so the horse has choice whether they want to be involved. It's not
because they're the intelligent being that they are. Yeah. So you want it to feel safe for them as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Their needs and what, their species specific needs are so important as well in this. But if they don't feel like they want to come close or be involved, I always find that often brings up something for the client that they need to process too. So it's always unfolds how it's meant to.
It's all a work in progress, isn't it? So if I rocked up and I was around a horse and I was dealing with extreme anxiety, can the horse pick that up? And would that be a deterrent, or would that be something the horse would feel compassion for?
It depends
Asking
on
for a friend.
Yes. Well, yes. The answer first, yes, horses feel anxiety. So it's, I don't know if you've ever been around horses or if you've
When I was a
ever
kid.
ridden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And they would, I mean, when I was younger, if I was feeling nervous about getting on a horse, sometimes people would say, just act brave and blah, 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 and get on. No, a horse is vibing off what you're feeling, not what you're masking. If I mask,
Oh, wow.
okay, I'm feeling okay, I'm safe, I'm getting on, they're not going to vibe off that.
No, they're not buying it. Yeah.
Of course, they're prey animals. They tune into the energetic feeling. So, but even with that, being authentic and learning to feel safe in your authenticity is also another beautiful part of
Oof,
this. Because
oof,
if
I
I
love
feel
that.
nervous when I'm interacting with a certain horse or a new horse, I'll actually speak it. So I'll say, as as it can sound and look, to whoever the horse, I'm feeling really nervous right now and I'm feeling it in my gut. And then I'll do a let down breath like horses. And I'll just sit in that for a minute. And you often, most times, they will respond in the same because you're speaking authentically about what you're feeling. Or if like yesterday I went for a ride on so I ride my friends' horses. I own horses that are older and that I do a lot of my therapy sessions with, but I ride my friends' horses. And I just say the eclipse season had me, I was so on edge yesterday. I was fiery. I wanted to punch something and I was just allowing
Full
myself,
moon.
allowing myself to feel it all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I knew I couldn't stay that day. And I thought, I'm just going for a ride. I'm going for a ride. And when I went out there, I was about to get on one of her beautiful horses who I haven't ridden as much, but is super sensitive. Horses can feel when a fly lands on their skin, and they're so in
Wow.
tune with
Wow.
with the activity as we've spoken about. But I knew that if I just jumped straight on, it'd be very jolting for them too. So I grounded myself and I did my nervous system regulation practices in the company of this horse. And I actually spoke about it. I went, I said, Skilly, I am so fired up today. I'm feeling so angry. Thanks for being in my company. Let's do some let down breath. And he did that and he did his let down, which is
Oh,
him regulating the nervous system. And then I felt better about getting on and I knew he felt better.
oh.
So I even like to support, riders who have anxiety or people that have that and how you can, work through that anxiety, but not shying away from it. It's like, so why is that
Not
here?
masking it, like you said, and pretending that everything's okay because you're just lying to yourself and the horse is going to bloody know.
Absolutely. But this is the thing, we as society is built on suppressing our emotions and masking. And I'm like, it's the other way around. Our body's telling us things. Our body keeps score. We need to listen. And then when we come to a place of our body, we're then living in our authenticity, which is our truth. And that's incredibly empowering. It can be a
Oh,
journey. It can be a long
that
journey,
to
but
me
it's
feels like that's a sovereign way to live. Like you're so secure within yourself that you're so attuned to feeling, oh, this is a gut reaction. Okay, I know what's going on. Not just like me, like, oh, what's going on? I must have just eaten something that I'm intolerant to. Do you know what I mean? Like, what a
yeah,
world to
so
live
much more
in.
awareness. Yeah, and it changes just the experience in life and the ways in which we relate with life and people. Even, like I remember when my girls were younger, there'd be a bit of the anxieties, friends were coming out, my house was a mess. Whereas now, I'm like, okay, my house is a mess. My friend's coming over. Okay, is it bothering? No, it doesn't, because I've dismantled that conditioning
Mm.
of, your house needs to be
When people
clean.
come over. Yeah,
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 I'm just using an example that maybe others can
I get
relate
it.
to, but we
Yeah,
often, it needs to be clean to be a decent human, to be accepted. Whereas I've done the work on a lot of where do those conditioned beliefs
come
come
from.
from. If
Yeah.
they pop up now, because I have the awareness, I can tell them to bugger off because it's not mine, it's a conditioned belief. And then I'm able to work with what my body actually needs in that moment.
Oh,
It's such a different
love
way of living,
that.
as opposed to having those, conditioned thoughts continually driving me, and which to me creates anxiety, what you should be
Yeah,
doing.
yes, it's the shoulds. That's definitely where the anxiety comes from. And I love that you pick up on that too, because that's something a tool I've learnt a lot lately, because it takes time. Like it doesn't happen overnight. But going into the shopping mall used to give me the worst anxiety. I felt like people that I was invisible, people were bumping into me. There's like wide spaces. Why are they still touching me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've got my quirks, and it got to the point now and I feel it in my body is where I walk into a shopping. As soon as that anxiety arises, I start saying it's just one simple thing, but I feel it. It's not just saying words, but I say I have every right to be here, and I say that with so much conviction, and then it's like boom, I have all the space.
Get out of the way. Amazing. Yeah.
I love
It's like
that, but it's
bringing
a
that
work in
awareness.
progress. Yeah.
and that's a different way of experiencing to suppressing that, or to thinking there's something wrong with you and you just need to get on with it.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
what you actually experience of, okay, you have the awareness of that's coming up for you. Even where do I feel it in my body? Take a few out breaths and do whatever magic, like your affirmation. Okay, now let's move forward. It's giving you those tools and resources to tap into to create safety.
Yeah. And then eventually over time, that will become the new norm, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, your medicine is extraordinary. I could talk to you for ages. Like, oh my God, I had all this long list and then I realized what time it was.
I had things to share as
We'll have
well.
to get you on the podcast again. This is phenomenal. Um, so you're located in Toowoomba, is that
Mm-hmm.
right? You've got your beautiful, what did you say it was the barn? What's the barn that
It's an
cheese
old cheese
barn?
factory. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
It's I work from a space just out of town, close to where I live at the moment. But a lot of my sessions, I'll even go to people with horses and do sessions with them. Like do kinesiology sessions in the company of horses, but I also do kinesiology on horses. So if there's behavioural issues,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
stresses, and I'm now doing body work on horses too, so releasing tension from their body. But otherwise, yeah, I do a lot of online or in-person
Yeah, yeah.
kinesiology somatic sessions in my
Oh,
studio just out of Toowoomba, yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to, like, I'm a Queenslander, so all family's there, so I'm definitely going to head up to Toowoomba and come and see you if that's okay. Just be a
Oh,
crazy
love
repo
that.
woman. But I'd
Amazing.
love to take you up on that offer of doing a session with you as well. So that would be phenomenal. Just out of curiosity and to explore it, like explore what you offer and how, because it just resonates in my body what you're talking about. So,
Absolutely.
uh,
I'd do that with you.
so before we go on to our rapid fire questions, I just want to, for all our listeners, can you let them know where they can find you and what is happening next in your offerings? Because we had a conversation before we hit record about new exciting things happening for you. So can we run through that?
For sure. Where they can find me is mainly on Instagram. Like I mean, I do have a Facebook, but I spend more time on
It's a
Instagram. It's where I share a
beautiful,
lot of my
beautiful
life.
feed. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. And I just really, my main focus there is to show up in my authenticity. So I'll weave in parts of my life, but also if emotions come up, sometimes I'll even share that and how I might deal with it. But I've just done a whole rebranding with Amy Unbridled, and also I've just started Unbridled Western, which is going to be
I
a
saw
Western.
that. Yeah, that's for clothing, isn't it? Is it for
Yeah, so it's
so exciting?
apparel for the untamed heart,
Mm,
but it's going to
love that.
be a lot around worn vintage pieces as well as new stuff. But I'm only slowly building that, and jewelry. I'm going to run that out of my Airstream caravan, and go on the road with it
Oh
eventually.
my
But also,
God.
it's just an expression of another arm of me that I
Yeah, it's
really,
your creativity. Yeah.
yeah. But so that's coming. But I've just finished my branding, finish my website and things like that. But contact me on Instagram. Is probably the best way. And in terms of offerings, um, I'm just looking for a space around Toowoomba to really be able to hold more of my equine retreats. Um, excuse me. And where I am at the moment, I can do the equine experience and equine sessions. But Instagram's probably the best way to find
Amazing.
me.
And of course, I'm going to plaster all those contacts through your cover feature in the upcoming issue of Creating the Muse. I'm going to embarrass you endlessly. I think I've told you a couple of times. I promise
I don't
it'll
know.
only be one more time I embarrass you. I know people hate it, like I know it, but
Oh, I don't hate it. I actually think it's just such a beautiful opportunity, and to be seen, and creating a space for women to share their truth, their story, their authenticity. I find it
and
so
how
inspiring. It
incredible
gives
they are. Yeah.
created a space. Yeah.
Such
So no, I feel
such magnificent creatures, women. I mean, we're all magnificent, men and women, and everything alike. But yeah, it's just that you
embarrassed.
have. I seem to graduate. What's the word? Gravitate towards women that are have this deep nurturing about them. Like they're really embodying that mama, even if they're not a mama, like you just feel the warmth around them. So yeah, which is why, yeah, we connected clearly because I just took one look at your photo. I was like, who is this woman? And then I showed my mum, check out this. We got to get her in the magazine. She's like, hell yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm so honoured to be a
Oh,
part of this.
honor is all
Yeah,
mine.
this work too. Yeah.
So I guess as we touched on creating the Muse magazine, we're going to go into the rapid fires.
Which
Um,
I have.
yeah, you've done the pre-work. You
No,
have no idea.
I'm just gonna trust what my body tells me in these
Oh,
moments.
I love this. Oh my God,
Here we
my
go.
anxiety would be squirming if that was me. I can't wing it. I'm going to learn to wing it, but yeah. All
Hey,
right.
I'm saying that's the best way to do it because this might turn upside down, but we'll try.
No, I know you're going to be amazing. So I guess with you being the cover feature for Creating the Muse, what does Creating the Muse mean to you, and how has it impacted your artistic expression in business and in life?
Creating the muse. Oh gosh, I got goosebumps.
I can't
I
wait.
would say creating the muse for me is about fully showing up in my authenticity and embodying my truth. And
Mhm.
if I'm creating a muse that I am drawn to, that I can relate to, that I yearn to have pieces of in my life, if I
Mm,
can show up in that way for others, it's only going to inspire and create even the micro moments of change in them. To me, that's the epitome of creating the muse. And I really try to show up in that way in my work and in my mothering and in my relationships. Absolutely not saying I'm perfect because we're all
or human.
we're all human,
Yeah,
absolutely, and we're here
yeah.
to experience. But at the end of the day, that really does drive what I do. Is showing up in my authenticity and in hope that I can inspire other people to do that and find
Mm,
safety in that. Yeah, other people to find safety in that.
mm. I love that. What came up for me is this kind of like you're looking at something that inspires you because I I don't know where I heard it, but it's kind of like saying because that's already originally a part of you that just hasn't come to the surface. So,
Yeah,
oof,
I believe
oof,
that.
it's so
I really
good.
believe
It's such a great answer. Thank you so much. And I guess the next one, this is a hard one, but I love it because of selfish reasons, because I love books.
yeah.
And I know it's hard. If you're an avid book reader, you're like, what the hell is that question? So, but what is your all-time favorite book and what has had a significant impact on you?
My absolute all-time favorite book, and it's funny because I just have it in front of me and I didn't even look at the questions, is The
Oh,
Tao of Equus.
the
And
the Tao, what is it? The Tao of what?
Tao of
Equ-
Equus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's
And
a woman's
why?
journey, healing and transformation through the way of the horse. Now, my story with this is I bought this in Sydney. So I was in my 20s. I remember I bought it and I tried to read it. I picked it up. I was like, oh, because like I said, horses have woven into my life. Like I rode when I was younger, had an accident when I was a teenager and stopped. And anyway, they've woven in, especially as I started to become more in my authenticity. They've become more present in my life. And then I've now created this work with them. But this book, I couldn't read it. I tried so many times. And then I randomly came across it a couple of years ago and I have not been able to put it down. Like I have highlighted, scribbled, done all the things. So Linda Konahav, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She's an incredible woman in America who really started this work before it was even like, I mean, people would look at her sideways when she'd talk about connecting emotionally with a horse or listening to a horse. Like, she's been around for quite a while and had to do the hard yards in that space. And to actually say horses and animals do communicate their feelings, they do have feelings and
Hmm.
emotions, but it's just so incredible because she's sharing her journey, and there was so much that I could resonate with in my journey and that I weave into my work. But I'd say that's my all-time favorite book. And the other would be Women Who Run with the Wolves.
Oh, oof. That's a good one. And that too
That's
is
another one.
yeah, that's just, it's kind of like you buy the book but and it's in your awareness, but it's like the book reveals itself when you are ready to pick it up. Like I bought that book years ago and then it wasn't time until I left my husband and then it was time to read it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so I understand where you're coming from. So
It's
great
a yeah,
book.
another book. Absolutely.
Amazing books. And I got to get my hands on that. I love that she was the pioneer of equine therapy. That's what it feels like.
She
Yeah.
really is, and she's still out there doing incredible work. I work a lot with her. She's got cards, oracle cards, I guess, but I use them so much in my work because the horse wisdom in them that I weave in is so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got resources that I actually tap into and
It's
use
so
in my.
great that you've got a mentor that you can learn from.
Mhm.
So that's amazing. Lucky last question is, and I think I pretty can guess what this is, but what is the best investment you have ever made on yourself, or your personal development? So on yourself or your personal development, either way, on yourself or yourself.
Well, I'm going to say kinesiology sessions
Yeah, I
because
knew you
that
were gonna.
they taught me they taught me the link between emotional and mental stress and my body.
Yeah.
Everything's connected. I would then have to also say I went on to study to be a sexologist and learning somatic awareness. I really
Oh,
heightened then our body and what I understand now about our body and what it's communicating. So, and then into now weaving that into working with horses. Um, it's just been such a beautiful unfolding in that to be so to be able to really connect with horses, you've got to be in your authenticity. And to
yeah,
be able to be in
yeah,
your authenticity, you need to understand your body and what it's communicating. And to be able to do that, you need to go back and dismantle. Sounds like it can sound overwhelming, but I'm just
yeah,
talking
yeah.
the thread and the
It's a
themes that I'm
journey. It's all a beautiful journey by the sounds of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's yeah, I would say those three things.
Amazing, amazing three things. Oh my God, Amy, I have no words. Like, I thank you for sharing your wisdom, your passion, your journey. Like I said, such an honor to have you here and such an honor to put you on the front cover of Creating the Muse. It's women like you that drives me to do this all the time. So it's just nice to be inspired by women that are doing amazing things and are here to make a change in the world and be part of that collective change to for us all to heal one way or another. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I honor you. And this has been the most amazing conversation. And we're going to have you on the podcast again because you talked on the sexuality thing. I think you've raised that with me once before. And I mean, that's a whole other
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So we'll have to come back to that and unpack that and dismantle that.
I would love to do that. Thank you for all the work that you're doing and creating this space. It is so inspiring. As we touched on before we started recording, I just being able to connect with like-minded people and women that are just doing life and are, showing up in what they believe in and modeling that to people, to the world. I just it's such a beautiful space. It's like I run a lot of women's circles and a lot of somatic
Oh my
circles
God. What
coming
don't you do?
together coming together and having been able to connect because we're social mammals, just like horses. We literally need
Oh,
connection for our
I
well-being
love
and survival.
that.
You've created this wide world kind of circle, I believe, with creating the muse, and I just been able to connect with others around the
Oh,
world.
I love
Let's
that.
create an online circle. I'll facilitate for all
Oh,
the women that
I'm thinking a retreat into Toowoomba, mate. So
yeah,
I'm there.
we have got
I'm
space for
there.
you.
That would be amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
Oh,
having
my absolute pleasure. Okay, then. Well, I guess that's our end of conversation. So thank you so much, Amy. Once again, I really appreciate you. See you later.